Sounds like something your dad would say.
My dad does some of the funniest little Johnny jokes.
Yes. Like, say some of them.
Little Johnny's out in the backyard. And
You want to go around this guy?
No, because the exit's not.
Oh, okay.
Little Johnny's out in the yard playing with his airplane. And he takes his airplane up and he brings his airplane down. And he lands. He says, all right, all you motherfuckers getting off, get off. All you motherfuckers getting on, get on. Meantime, Johnny's mom is at the window. And she sees him and she's watching. He takes it up and he takes it down. All right, all you motherfuckers getting off, get off. All you motherfuckers getting on, get on. She's like, Johnny, get in this house right now. And he's like, yes, Mom. She said, I want you to go to your room and think about what you did. So some time goes by and she calls him out. She's like, Johnny, have you learned your lesson? He said, yes, ma'am. She said, all right, go out and play. So then she's at the window at the kitchen and she's watching him and he's taking his airplane up and taking it down. He takes it up and he lands it. All right, all you motherfuckers getting on, get on. All you motherfuckers get off, get off. If you have a problem with the layover, talk to the bitch in the window.
Okay.
Little Johnny and his daddy are walking through the park. And little Johnny looks over and he sees two dogs. And they're having sex. Little Johnny looks to his dad and says, Dad, what are those dogs doing? He said, well, son, they're trying to make puppies. So a few weeks go by, and little Johnny goes into his parents' room, and his parents are having sex. Well, instead of the shock and awe of, you know, them being caught by their son, they just decided to keep going. And he's like, Daddy, what are you doing to Mommy? He said, well, son, we're trying to make you a new baby brother or sister. He says, well, flip her over. I'd rather have a puppy.
Yeah, I just can't remember.
Little Johnny's in school.
Yeah.
And they're going through the letters of the alphabet. And his teacher is giving each of the students a letter, and they have to come up with a word that starts with that letter. Now, she knows little Johnny, because little Johnny, she knows his mouth, and she knows that he is not the greatest with, you know, doing stuff like that. So she's like, all right, I'm going to give him, she's like, what letter can I give him that he cannot come up with a curse word? So she says, Johnny. Yes. I'm going to give you the letter R. And he says, okay. He said, the other day, I saw a rat walking through the kitchen. She says, oh, we got through it. He said, yeah, motherfucker had a tail that fucking long. Woman's pregnant with triplets.
Okay, I haven't heard this one.
And the babies are all in the womb. And the babies are sitting back, and they're chilling with each other. And they're talking about what they want to do when they get older. Once they get out.
Yeah.
And the first one says, I'm going to be a plumber, so I can fix all the damn leaks in this place. And then the second one looks up, and he says, well, I'm going to be a carpenter, so I can make some more room in this place. And then they look at the third baby, and he's sitting back smoking his cigar. He said, I'm going to be a professional boxer. And they look at him, they're like, professional boxer? Why? He said, so I could beat the shit out of that one-eyed snake that comes poking me every night. Couple just gets married.
Yeah.
All right. And they still live with his parents. And they go back. And so his mom gets up. She figures, I'm going to fix the newlyweds a really nice breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
She fixes this whole scale breakfast, right? Does everything. And she calls for her. And her younger son is like, Mom. She's like, no, not now. I'm trying to get your brother and your sister down here, and your sister-in-law. He's like, all right. So she's calling for them, and they don't come down. She's like, oh, well, maybe they're busy. You know, I'll leave them alone. They're tired. So then they finish breakfast. So then she says, well, maybe I'll get them for lunch. So she fixes this huge lunch. She calls for them again. Still, they don't come down. No answer. She's like, they must really be in love. And her younger son's like, Mom. And he's like, she says, not now. I'm trying to do something. Just go back to eating your lunch. So then dinner time comes around. And she fixes this 11-course, elaborate, to the nines dinner. for them again. And still, they don't come down. And she's like, all right, this is ridiculous. I could understand breakfast. I could understand lunch. And her youngest son says, Mom, she's like, what is it, Timmy? He's like, I'm trying to tell you why they're not coming down. She says, how would you know why they're not coming down? He says, because last night, my brother came down and I think he was looking for the lube, and instead he grabbed the glue from my model airplanes. Husband and wife are sitting at home. Their daughter's out on a date with the guy she's been dating for a while. And they're sitting there and they're watching TV. And he's throwing peanuts up in the air and catching them in his mouth, thinking he's being all sly, whatever. Well, his wife says something to him, and at the time he just threw a peanut up, and he turned, and the peanut went in his ear. So then they're frantically trying. They try Q-tips, they try tweezers, and they just can't get it out. So finally, his daughter and her date come home, and they're like, his daughter's like, what's wrong, Dad? He's like, oh, I got a peanut stuck in your ear, and me and your mother have tried everything, and we just can't get it to budge. And her mother looks at her and says, I'm really concerned. I think we're going to have to take him to the hospital. So the daughter's boyfriend steps in. He said, well, here, let me try something. So he shoves his fingers up the guy's nose and says, now I want you to blow as hard as you can. So he does, and the peanut pops out. And he's like, man, thanks. And so they go back out on the front porch to say their goodbyes, and his wife is like, oh, isn't he just wonderful? I think he's going to be a doctor someday. He said, nah, by the smell of his fingers, he's going to be our son-in-law.